Hey everyone, Sandra Vale here at Homesteading Ways, and today I wanted to talk to you about homesteading when you're older and or with disabilities. Now, Paul and I are getting older. We're not old yet, but I feel that we are on the younger side of getting older. He's 53 and I will be 49 in a couple of months, and so we're not getting younger. But anyhow, we raised our kids. They're all living their own lives, raising their own families, stuff like that. We did have my dad living with us for a few years, but he passed on, as did my mom before that. And Paul's parents, well, they're fine. They don't need any help, and they live kind of far away. So anyhow, it's just me and Paul now. Well, I do have my brother staying with us, but when we're up at the cabin, he's going to have his own place. So can homesteading really be done when you're older? You know, you tend to get more aches and pains and stuff like that. You do have a lot of the times more physical limitations, but like a lot of things in life, it's doable with modifications. Now, Paul, as I've mentioned on here, and you guys have probably seen in the vlogs, he has bad hips. He has severe osteoarthritis in both hips. Well, actually, he had his first surgery for his right hip, which was the worst, at the end of February, and then now at the end of June here, he's going to get his other hip taken care of. So I don't know if that means he's going to be as good as new. His right hip's doing good. I don't know for sure what his limitations are going to be or anything like that. But like I just said, he's not getting any younger. I have rheumatoid arthritis, so I definitely have limits. Some days are better than others, you know. That's just the way it goes, especially, if you're dealing with any kind of chronic health issues. So September we'll be living off-grid up in the cabin, and we're really looking forward to it. But as we've been fixing it up and talking about what we're going to do when we're up there, we have realized that we need to scale a few things back, or just, you know, modify our plans. One thing to think about if you're an older person and wanting to homestead, don't get caught up in what 20-somethings can do. You know, we were there, you know, a lot more strength, a lot more energy, you know, really hardcore can-do attitude, and that's awesome. You can still have that attitude, but you got to know what your limitations are, I guess. You know, there's pros and cons to homesteading when you're older. One thing that Paul and I have found is that we don't have the kids anymore, and that's definitely a bonus for us. We had a lot of kids, and we started our homestead journey when the last three were just hitting their teen years, and we weren't off-grid or anything like that, but one of them took to it really well, two of them not so much, but it was a good learning experience, and I really give a huge thumbs up to you younger people that are homesteading with young kids at home, because geez, I just feel it's a lot of work. I understand it's probably worth it, no doubt about it, but where I'm at in life right now, just a little too much work for me to handle, I think. But a downside of homesteading when you're older, and it depends on your age or if you're disabled, because sometimes you're not that much older but you are disabled, is you often have to deal with limited income. So you gotta work with what you have. If you have any kind of savings, you know, that's good. If you don't, then you have to just learn to do things a little differently. Now, if you need to buy something new, especially like a bigger piece of equipment, try your hardest to try and see if you can get it used. Ask neighbors, friends, families, go to thrift stores. Local buy-sell groups on Facebook are good, even Craigslist. Try never to buy new if at all possible. And if it's something you're not going to use real often, maybe it's an item you can borrow from someone, whether that's, your neighbor or somebody at church, whatever. That's definitely one way to keep your money down. Another thing about considering homesteading when you're older is producing your own food and stuff like that, and that's a big part of homesteading. And even people in the city will have gardens and whatnot. Maybe it won't feed them for the entire year, but it's enough to feed them over the summer and hopefully can some stuff. And so when you're thinking about that when you're older, I like to think that less is more. You don't want a ton of land because you're not going to be able to really upkeep it, maintain it. And you don't want a ton of livestock because that's a lot of work and money. So the way Paul and I thought about it was, with the livestock in particular, go small. Go ahead, get yourself some chickens, whether that's for just eggs or meat. There's dual purpose birds, or you could just get like Cornish Rock, or there's another breed out there that's really good for meat chickens. You only raise them for maybe 8 weeks, and then you can process them, and you have chicken for a long time, and you can make it however you want. You can have, roasters, a whole chicken, ground chicken, whatever. You can also do rabbit. Those are very small, quiet, easy to raise. Quail is another good bird to raise. They're quieter for sure than chickens. And a lot of the breeds start laying eggs at 5 to 6 weeks, I think, and you can start processing them if you want to use them for meat at 6-7 weeks. Even pheasant. We raised pheasant too. They're bigger birds, and you got to have a little bit more room, but they're also very doable. So instead of trying to raise pigs or cattle or anything else like that, think smaller. And as far as your meat goes, there are a lot of local farmers out there where you can order pork or beef. Now you got to kind of look around or have someone go in on it with you, because like Paul and I, we're not going to have freezer space or really any kind of space to store half a cow. We're not going to have room for all that beef. So there are some places that will take smaller orders, or like I said, have a friend or a neighbor or family member go in on it with you. And then the amount of meat is very doable for storage, and the prices too. And you also know where you're getting your food from, and that's what's really important. And then as far as gardening goes, whether it's older or disabilities, it pretty much is the same here, where make it as easy as you can. I mean, as far as gardening goes, I think everybody should make it as easy as they can. But think about doing raised beds. Raised beds mean you don't have to work the soil very much at all. It's easier on your back and a whole bunch of other joints as well. You can do gardening methods such as biointensive, the Ruth Stout No Dig, square foot gardening, Back to Eden. There's a whole bunch of methods out there where you're not having to do back-breaking work by tilling up the land and planting in the ground. Now, Paul and I don't have room to grow probably one of the vegetables we eat the most of, and that's corn. We just don't have the space for it. We have a lot of trees on our land, and I'm not clearing trees to plant corn. But luckily, Wisconsin grows a lot of corn, so I can get corn at a fairly cheap price, fresh, and then process it how I want to process it, whether it's for the freezer or canning. And so think about that yourselves. Now potatoes, we also eat a lot of potatoes, but potatoes can be very hard when it comes to gardening. No, they're simple to grow, but they're hard on your body. So one way we got around it was trying to plant potatoes in containers. And we would use those big, plastic tubs, or I even tried it in feed bags, which worked. They have grow bags. I mean, there's a lot of different ways you can grow potatoes, and you basically put some soil in there, put your seed potatoes in there, and you keep covering it up I'd say 2-3 times, and use whatever it is you're using, compost, soil, straw. And then when it comes time to harvest, you don't have to dig in that hard ground, hurting your back or your shoulders or something along the lines of that. All you have to do is tip over that container and get your potatoes out. So I'm going to leave a lot of links down in the description, so go ahead and check them out so that hopefully you'll get some good ideas on what you want to do as far as gardening goes. But let's say you don't even have room for a garden, or you just really don't like it, or you're physically not capable of doing it. That doesn't mean you can't get fresh food. You can go to farmers markets, or what I like better than a farmers market is a farm stand. Now, that's a stand that farmers themselves will put up, usually on the corner spot of some of their land. And if they're not there themselves, then they have a lockbox where you can put your money in, and it's great. You're buying local, you know where this came from, you can talk to the farmer himself. It's awesome, and it's usually way cheaper than the store. Farmers markets, to me, at least in my area, aren't very inexpensive. They seem to be a little more trendy, gourmet-ish, whatever. But so I don't usually go to them. But you can also join a CSA, and that stands for Community Supported Agriculture. And basically, you're kind of sort of buying a share into the farmer's crops. And every week or 2 weeks, depending on your farmer, you get a big box full of fresh produce. And if you wanted, say, extra, a bushel or 2 of tomatoes, so that you can can them up, you can go ahead and ask them that, and I'm sure that they'll have a plan for that, a special deal for you. Same thing at the farm stand. Talk to the farmer. I'm sure he'd be more than happy to sell you a few bushels of tomatoes or whatever it is that you're looking for. So don't let your disabilities, whatever they may be, or just your age, keep you from taking care of yourself with the fresh food. And I guess the last thing I just want to talk about is being realistic. Write down what you're looking to have, what you're hoping to accomplish, but also write down what your limitations may be, whether they're physical or maybe financial or whatever. Maybe you have obligations of you can't move too far, so you need a place here or there. If you're living in a bigger house, maybe you could downsize. Smaller in a lot of ways is better. Less stuff to clean. You're having less mouths to feed, less everything. So it just makes everything simpler. And there's a lot of gadgets out there on the market. Go cruising Amazon or just do a search on Google or something. There's a lot of things out there that can help you. Just those grabby things I bought for Paul, so when he drops something on the floor, he can just take that grabber thing and lift it up rather than trying to bend over with his really bad hips. I use them too because they're great for reaching stuff up high. But there's a lot of gardening gadgets so that you can garden the way you want to. I mean, if you love it, if you love your hobby, you love your garden, you love whatever, do what you have to do so you can keep doing it. There's ways out there. And don't be prideful. If you need help, ask. There are people that will help you, whether it's family, friends, neighbors, church members, anybody belonging to one of your clubs. Just look around. There are a lot of people out there that would be more than willing to lend a helping hand. Don't give up on your dreams, just modify your dreams. It's totally doable. Now, don't forget to check the links. I'm going to have a lot of links down there. So go ahead and take a look-see. I hope I've helped you out. I hope I've given you some good information that you can find useful. If I did, thumbs up the video, that'd be great. Subscribe, that would be awesome. And don't forget to hit that little bell so you get a notification. It was nice talking to you. And you take care.